Hello and welcome to your lecture on Learning Outcome 23, 24 and 25. This is based on averages. Your learning outcomes or your objectives for today's lesson are to calculate the median and mode of a set of quantities, estimate the mean of a grouped frequency distribution from discrete data, and use the mean, median, mode and range to compare two sets of data. Now, I know that might sound quite tricky, but once I go through everything, I've got a feeling that you will feel very confident about this. So, first of all, comparing data, averages and spread. An average gives you an idea of a typical value for a set of data. So, in general, basically, what is that in general? So you should understand and be able to calculate the mean, the median, the mode, and the range. So a general answer for a set of data, basically. Now then, the mean is the most commonly used average, okay? We use this one all the time. In your exam, if you get asked for the average, work out the mean, okay? Now, to work out the mean, what you do is you find the sum of a set of values, which means you add them all together, okay, add them together, and then you divide that by the number of values used in the set. So we used to say how many there are, okay, so divide by how many numbers there are. So to find the mean, we find the sum of the set of the values, we add them, and then we divide, this line here means divide, by the number of values used in that set. So, for example, what is the mean of 1, 2, 3, 3, 1? Well, all we have to do is add them all together. So I'm going to write them all above the fraction. And if I add them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that top value becomes 10. And then I'm going to divide by how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is why 5 is on the bottom. So we end up with 10 divided by 5, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. So the mean is 2. Okay, the average is 2 in this case. The median, which is a different type of average, which you might get asked about, is the middle value of an ordered data set. Okay, so it's the middle value when the numbers are in order, okay, when the numbers are in order of size. Now you must remember to do that, in order of size, because if you forget to do that, you'll be marked down, or, you might miss out on quite a few marks, really. Now, here is a set of numbers. This is already put in order for you, but if they were the wrong way round, okay, so on, yeah, you would have to then put them in the right way. So you might want to start smallest to biggest, okay, which is what's been done here. And to find the median, we just take one off each side until we get to the middle. So we take one there, one there, one there, one there, one there, and one there. And we've taken 3 from each side, so our median is 3. Okay? Right, well, what about this set of data then? What is the median of this set of data? So what we're going to do is, again, they've been put in order for you, but if they were in the wrong order, you would have to put them in order from smallest to biggest. I'm going to take one from each side. Now, I've taken 2 from each side here. But if I took another one from each side, I'd be left with nothing, so I can't do that. So now what I do is I think, well, I've got 3 and 4 in the middle, okay? So I have to actually go for right in the middle of 3 and 4, which is 3.5, okay? So the median is 3.5 because it must be halfway between 3 and 4. The median means the middle, okay? So far we've had the mean, okay? And the mean is, I always remember it because it's the meanest one, okay? So we have to add them all up and divide by how many there are. So it's the longest winded one. It takes us the longest. So it's the meanest. The median, I always remember that because it's the middle, okay? And it sounds like medium in terms of sized clothing. Medium. Okay? Okay, next then we have the mode. And the mode is the value in a data set that occurs the most often. So mode sounds like most, which reminds that it's the most common, okay, the one that turns up the most. Okay, so for example, the mode in this set of numbers, 2, 2, 2, 3, 5, and 7, would be 2, because it's the most common number. Okay? And that's as simple as that really for the mode. Now the range shows the spread of a data. Okay, so these four that you need to remember, the mean, median, mode, and range. Now the range is not actually an average, it just shows the spread. Okay, and it can be calculated doing the highest value take away the lowest value. All right, so it's not an average, but useful for comparing sets of data. So for example, the range of 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and 10 is going to be the highest value, which is 10, and you're going to take away the lowest value, which is 1. And 10 take away 1 is 9. So the range is 9. Okay, range equals 9. Okay, so now that you know those, we're going to use them in a little bit more detail. So before I do that, I'm just going to give you a table which gives some information about when to use each type of average. Okay, so the mean. The mean uses all of the numbers in the data set. Okay, it's affected by extreme values such as outliers. We talked about outliers when we did scatter graphs. Okay, so let's say that you're taking some shoe sizes of a year 7 class, and the majority of those shoe sizes are between, 3 and 4 and 5, and then you randomly get someone who's a size 10. Okay, the mean will be affected by that size 10. Okay, also the actual value of the mean might not exist because sometimes you get a decimal value. The median is not affected by extreme outliers because we put them in order of size from smallest to biggest. But still the actual value might not exist because we sometimes get a decimal as well. And then the mode. The mode is not affected by extreme values like outliers because again it's the most common value. Okay, and this can be used with qualitative data. Okay, that means like qualitative is data that's in words, it's not just numbers. Okay, we'll come back to types of data later on. Now it may not exist or there may be more than one mode, particularly if the data set is small. Okay, so there might not be a common one. There might not be, when it says may not exist, there might not be a number that repeats itself a lot of times, or there might be more than one that comes up. So if it was like 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 7, 9, 11, the mode or modal values we can say are 2 and 3. Okay, so we'd have to say that there's more than one. All right. Okay, so just to point out that you can use averages such as the mean or median and measures of spread such as the range to compare two sets of data. First, calculate the same average and range for both data sets. Then, write a valid statement if you can support it with statistical evidence. So we're going to look at some exam questions that do that. So what it'll ask you to do in your exam is to compare the mean and the mode, or compare the mean and the range, or whatever. And then it'll ask you to give a reason for your answer, okay, or what you think about that. Now then, I've just got a question here. So if you'd like to pause the video and have a go at this, then go ahead and do that now, and then we'll go through the answers. Okay, if you've had a go at that, we've got some values here. We've got 8,000, 18,000, 18,000, 24,000, 24,000, 25,000 and 37,000. Now, luckily for you, you might have noticed that they're already in order of size from smallest to biggest, which is lovely. We don't have to do much there. The first question asks us for the range. So what we need to do is we need to take the highest value, which is 37,000, and we need to take away the lowest value, which is 8,000. Okay, and that gives us 29,000. You can just do 37, take away 8, and then add your 3 zeros on the end if it's on a non-calculator paper. So 29,000 for the range. The modal salary, meaning the mode, and this is, I've already mentioned that there could be two. The common numbers are 18,000 and 24,000. They both appear twice. So the modal salary is £18,000. Sorry, we should really put our pound sign, shouldn't we? And £24,000. So that's the mode. Median then. Well, again, luckily for you, they're already in order. So to find the median, we're going to take one from there, 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 and one from there. We've taken 3 from each side, and we're left with 24,000 in the middle. So our median salary is 24,000. The last thing to do now is work out the mean, okay? So the mean is where we add them all up and divide by how many there are. So we need to do, in fact, I won't write them all out, just be a waste of time. So if I just put, actually, I'm going to use green, I'm going to add these all together, okay? Let's put that there. So we're going to put mean equals sum of over how many, okay? Just to help me. So the mean equals, so let's add these together. So if we added them all together, again, I mean, you could do a calculator. This could be on a calculator paper. So if it is, that's fine. If not, you could have just done 8 plus 18 plus 18 plus 24 plus 24 plus 25 plus 37. Okay, you could have worked that out on paper. It would have given you 154. So I know that adding them all together gives me 154,000. Okay, obviously it will be on a calculator paper because you then got to divide by this. It's by 7 because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so 154,000 divided by 7. Well, to be fair, actually, even if we'd done 154 divided by 7, and we could have done that without a calculator, because we say how many 7s go into 15? That's 2, remainder 1. And then we say how many 7s go into 14? Well, that's 2. So actually, if that's 22, then 154,000 divided by 7 is 22,000, okay? But if you want to do that on a calculator, go ahead. So your mean is £22,000, okay? So we'll put that there, 22,000. Okay, I hope that makes sense then. Let's just move on to looking at a frequency table now. So far we've looked at values where, I'm just going to rub out all of this mess that I've made at the top. So far we've looked at values where I've just been given a list of numbers, okay? So here we've just been given this whole list of numbers, haven't we? Now, sometimes you will get a frequency table. So you'll have to find the mean and spread of data presented in a frequency table, okay? Now, I will explain what a frequency table is in just a second, but to find the mean from a frequency table, we can use this formula, okay? I'm going to explain that in a minute. So this formula says that the mean equals the sum of, so this sign here means sum of, which means you just add them together, okay? Fx divided by the sum of f. Okay, that sounds like it means something crazy, but the sum sign means sum of, okay, which I've just explained, and f represents the frequency. The frequency is how many, okay? The frequency is how many. So here's an example, and you'll understand this a bit better. The table shows the shoe sizes of a group of dancers. Here we go. So what this table means is that the shoe size was 3, but 5 people had a size 3 in this class. Size 4, there were 18 people. Size 5, there were 22 people. Size 6, there were 15 people. And size 7, there were 5 people. Okay? What you need to do is work out the mean, range, and median. Okay? So first of all, we're going to do the mean. We're going to look at this. All right, here's the questions. Work out the mean, range, and median of this data. And then B says that John says the mode is 22. Explain why John is wrong. Okay, so when we look at this formula here, the sum, which is that one, of fx means the sum of this column, which we're going to call x because it's the one that's not the frequency. And this one is f because that's the frequency. The sum of fx means, so mean equals the sum of f times x, because fx is together. Okay, and we should know from our previous lectures that when letters are together, we multiply. Okay, and then all of that is divided by the sum of just the f column. So let's just look at this on a separate slide so I can explain it in more detail. So our shoe size is x and our frequency is f. Okay, x always represents the other value that's not the frequency. So don't panic, the frequency is always labelled frequency. Okay, now the mean is the sum of the frequency times x, because it's fx there, all divided by the sum of f. So what we need to do first is we need to create an extra line here, and we need to do f times x for everything, because it's asking us to do that just there, f times x. So I'm going to do 3 times 5, which is 15. Okay, I'm then going to do 4 times 18, which is 72. I'm then going to do 5 times 22, which is 110. I'm going to do 6 times 15, which is 90. And I'm going to do 7 times 5, which is 35. So what I've done is I've done f times x there. Okay. Now the last thing that I need to do for this bit is the sum of f times x. That means I need to add all of these together to give me the sum. Okay, so I'm going to do 15, add 72, add 110, add 90, add 35. That gives me a total of 312. So the sum of f times x is 312. Okay, that's because I had 5 lots of these, 4 lots of the 18 lots of those, 22 lots of those, 15 lots of those, and 5 lots of those. And then I added them all up. So I've multiplied to give me fx, and then I've added them all up to give me the sum. Underneath that, I need the sum of f. Okay, so this is f. If I need the sum of f, that means I just need to add up these values in this f column. So I need to do 5, add 18, add 22, add 15, add 5. That gives me 65. So far now we've got the mean equals 312 over 65. Okay? So that's all I need to do. Over means divide. So the mean equals 312 divided by 65, which gives me 4.8. And we have worked out the mean. Now the mean of a frequency table is fairly long-winded. You will get quite a few marks for being able to remember how to do that. If you remember the meaning of this formula, you will remember what to do, because you have to remember that the mean equals the sum of f times x. So you will remember to do the f times the x and then add them together because it's the sum, and then that's divided by the sum of f. So you should remember then to add up the f column and then divide because of that line. So if you remember the meaning of this formula, you won't forget what to do. Okay, we've just got a couple more questions to look at. We need to find the range and we need to find the median. Let's do that now. Just going to get rid of all this, so I hope you've been writing notes. Okay, let's find the range and the median then. Now, to find the range of a set of data from the frequency table, it's really easy because we only have to look at the actual shoe size, So we just need to look at this column here. And what we do is we do the biggest value on there, which is 7, and we take away the smallest value, which is 3, okay? So 7 take away 3 is 4, so that's the range, okay? We don't have to do too much to that, nice and easy. Okay, so when I'm finding the median now, what I need to do is I need to, first of all, make sure that I know my frequency sum, okay? I need to know how many pieces of data there were. So if I add all these together, okay, I know I've already done this, it gave us 65 pieces of data. Now what we do to find the middle is we take our 65 pieces of data, we add 1 to it, okay, and then we half it. The reason we add 1 to it is because it's always going to be the next value up in the table. I'll show you what I mean in a second. So 65 plus 1 is 66, and 66 divided by 2 is 33, okay? So if I've got 33, it's going to be my 33rd value in the table, okay? So I'm going to go through and I'm going to find my 33rd value. And what I do is I look at here, there's 5 pieces of data. If I add this 18 pieces of data, okay, gives me 23. All right. And then if I add 22 to that piece of data, it gives me 45. Okay. So that means that my 33, it won't fall in the size 4 bracket because that only goes up to 23. So it will fall within the size 5. All right. It doesn't matter whereabouts it falls, but it's size 5. So my median shoe size is 5. So what we need to remember is that when we're doing averages, we are finding the average of the shoe size, or we're finding the average of a weight or a height. We're not the frequency just tells us how many times it happened. So here, this range is 4, size 4. Shoe size. The median is the middle value. The middle shoe size was 5. Okay. And when we found the mean earlier on, it was a mean shoe size because you're doing an average shoe size based on the data. Okay. Now, when data is grouped into class intervals, it looks a little bit different. So when data is grouped into class intervals, the exact values are not known, so it's not possible to work out the actual mean or mode. But what you will do is you will work out an estimate for the mean using the midpoints of the class intervals. Now that sounds very confusing, but we're going to use exactly the same formula we've just used. The modal class is the class interval with the highest frequency, just like we've just said. Okay, so size 5 was the modal value, the mode, because it occurred most times. It occurred 22 times. Okay, the mode isn't 22, the mode was size 5. The class interval containing the median is found in the same way as for discrete data, meaning we would find the halfway point, okay, and work out which shoe size it would have been, or, you know, depending on what table you're given. I'll show you that again in a minute. So here is a data set, okay. So basically this is telling us some weights of something, okay? And this might look a bit confusing to you, but then it's telling you that how many times it occurred, okay? So something was weighed, all right? Maybe people, Okay, people were weighed, maybe children because it's quite low, or thin people, very thin. Okay, and here it's telling you that somebody weighed between 30 and 35 kilograms. That's what that means. Okay, so you can completely ignore this if it confuses you and put a little dash. Okay, so that some people, in fact 6 people, okay, weighed between 30 and 35 kilos. Let's say 6 children or young people. Okay, these people, these 14 people, weighed between 35 and 40 kilograms. 22 people weighed between 40 and 45 kilograms. And 18 people or young people weighed between 45 and 50 kilograms. Okay, so that's all that means. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to work out the mean the same way that you did before. In fact, we've got 3 questions to do. We've got to work out an estimate for the mean, we've got to state the modal class, and we've got to find the class interval that contains the median. Okay, so I'm going to put this onto a new slide so I can show you that in a bit more detail. Now then, what I have to do here, and sometimes in your exam it will give you like an extra bit of table to use, okay, and I'll show you why you need that in a minute. But if it looks like that, don't panic, it's normal. And what we need to do because we don't know the actual values of what people weighed. We don't know how many people weighed 30 kilograms. We don't know how many people weighed 34 kilograms. We don't know how many people weighed 35 kilograms. Okay, for example. So what we have to do is we have to find a midpoint. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to basically write down the middle value of these. I'm going to just put it there to make my life easier. So halfway between 30 and 35 is 32.5. Halfway between 35 and 40 is 37.5. Halfway between 40 and 45 is 42.5. Oops, 0.5. And halfway between 45 and 50 is 47.5. This is why it's called an estimate of the mean, because we don't know the actual values, so we're using a halfway point to help us to work it out. Okay, don't forget we have to use this formula, the sum of fx over the sum of f. Okay, that's what the mean is. Okay, this time the table is being written a bit differently, but don't forget I said that x was whichever value wasn't the frequency. So these midpoints now are our x values. Okay, I'm just going to draw it down here, 32.5, 37.5, 42.5 and 47.5. And then I'm going to draw in my 6, 14, 22 and 18. And as I mentioned, you're probably going to be given an extra column. And that's because your values for xf are going to go in there, meaning your values for x times f. Okay, so we're going to do this fx section first, which means we're going to multiply these across, just like we did on the other example. Okay, so xf or fx, however you want to label it, doesn't matter. I'm going to multiply them across. I'm going to do 32.5 times 6. Which gives me 195. Okay, this is most likely going to be on your calculator paper, so don't panic. In fact, it will be. 37.5 times 14 is 525. 42.5 times 22 equals 935. And 18 times 47.5 is 855. Okay. So we've done the fx part. We now need to do the sum of that. So we're going to add all of these values together. Okay, add these together now. So 95 plus 525 plus 935 plus 855 gives me 2,510. Okay, so that's the sum of fx. So mean. equals the sum of fx, which is 2,510, all divided by the sum of f. Well, f is our frequency column, which is this column here. So I'm just going to add all of these together now. Okay, this is my f column. And if I add 6 plus 14 plus 22 plus 18, it gives me 60. So 60 goes on the bottom. I can now say that my mean is equal to, and I'm going to do this division, I'm going to do 2,510 divided by 60. And if I did that on my calculator, it gives me 41.83333. So my mean equals 41.8, and then I'm going to put the 3 with a little dot recurring like that because it goes on and on and on. Okay? So that is your estimate for the mean. We're done. Okay? And you have to realize that your mean will be a number that gives you a general answer to this. So it will be within one of those brackets. All right? It has to be. It's like your shoe size was 4 point something on the previous activity. Okay? Because it was a size, a shoe size. It won't be 89 because that's not within your data. You've really got to understand that you're working out an average number or an average weight. You're working out an average weight for all of those people. Okay? An average mass, sorry. But still, same thing. Ish. Okay. The next thing that you had to do was work out the mode, the modal class. So what I'm going to do is, if you have taken all those notes down, I'm going to get rid of all of this. Okay. Now, sorry. Okay. The only thing, no, it's fine. So you've done the mean. Modal class. Remember, the modal class is the mass that came up the most. Okay, sorry. Here we've got 6 people weighed that, 14 people weighed that, 22 people weighed that, and 18 people weighed that. Obviously, 22 is the highest value in the frequency table, which means most of the people that were weighed between 40 and 45. So your modal class, if I write this here, modal class is not 22, it's between 40 and 45 kilograms. So you would say that the majority of people in the study or in the data collection weighed between 40 and 45. So you have to write down that modal class that you get given. Okay? Now then, the median value is going to be halfway, so we need to work out or find the class interval that contains the median. Okay? So what we need to do here is we need to do exactly what we did before, and basically we add up the frequency. Okay? We add up the frequency, and we found that it was 60. So there are 60 pieces of data. Okay? And what we do is we do 60, we add 1, and we divide by 2. Okay? That gives us 61 over 2. Okay? That's 30.5. Okay? So we find the 31st piece of data. Okay? So what we do is if we have 6 and 14 and 22 and 18, we do 6 add 14, which is 20. Okay? And then if we add 22, it gives us 44. So it would actually fit somewhere in here. So that's within the third. Can you see? 6, 14, 22. It's in the third bracket. So again, the median class interval is also between 40 and 45. Oops. Okay. All right, so hopefully you are more confident now with working out the class intervals. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to look through some exam questions. Now, they get quite tricky, so bear with and try your best to use the information that we've gone through already in the lesson. Now, this question says that Rafa and his friends cycle to keep fit. They want to reduce the mean time it takes them to cycle 10 kilometers. Their target is to reduce the time by 11% within 12 weeks. The table shows their times in week 1 and week 12. Has the group achieved its target? Now, you can pause the video and have a really good think about what information you've been given and how to work it out. This is not a frequency table. You're not being told how many times they've cycled. Okay, you're just being told the weeks. How much time it's taken them to cycle 10 kilometers for week 1 and for week 12. So think about the question and what it's asking you, and then press play and I'll go through it. Okay, if you've had a go at that, sometimes functional skills questions can come across a little bit tricky. So what you need to remember is that in this question, they are saying that they want to reduce their target is to reduce the time by 11% within 12 weeks. So we need to know the mean time that it takes them to cycle 10 kilometers for week 1. Okay, so mean time for week 1 between them, okay, and the mean time for week 12. Okay, mean time for week 12. Okay, I'm going to put some working out over here and then I'll add it to that white box. So the mean time for week 1, okay, what we need to do is we just need to add up all of these values in this case, okay, and then we divide them by how many there are. Okay, so if I add up all of those values, it gives me 161.7. Okay, and we then have to divide that by 7 because there are 7 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if I do that, it gives me 23.1. And then we work out the mean for week 12. And if I add all of these values together, it gives me 146.3. And if I divide that by 7, it gives me 20.9. So we've worked out the average for week 1, which is 23.1, and the average for week 12. In fact, I'm going to put it further up, okay, which is 20.9. All right. So what I need to do now is I need to work out if they have increased their time by 11%. So I need to work out the difference in their time. So let's put difference here in their average. Okay, the difference in their average would be 23.1 subtract 20.9. Okay, and that gives me 2.2. Okay, 2.2 is their difference in their time. To work out that as a percentage, now you need to remember your percentage lessons here. Remember, to write an amount as a percentage change, we write the difference, which is the 2.2. Okay, if I put this around down here, difference over the original. The original was 23.1 because that was the first week. Okay. And then to turn it into a percentage, we times that by 100. So on your calculator, you would actually do 2.2 divided by, because this line means divide, 23.1 and times by 100. Okay. On your calculator, then you should get 9.523895. And if we write that down as a rounded number, we could say 9.52% to 3 significant figures. Okay, so you can put that in your box. Okay, you probably want to try and do as much of that as you can in your box because you want to show that you've done all of the working out possible. Okay, and then it says, has the group achieved its target? Well, they wanted to reduce it by 11%. Sorry, I said increase, but they wanted to reduce it by 11%. And so you'll say, no, they have only reduced their time their time by 9.52%. And you can put here no by 9.52%. Okay, it's quite a small answer box that is, but I would recommend that you put in this explanation in your working out box before putting a final answer in here. Okay, it lets the examiner know that you understand what you've done. Okay, so that was quite a tricky question because not only did you have averages in there, that wasn't the most difficult part, you worked them out quite quickly, it was the percentage section I thought you might have struggled with. Okay, so let's have a look at this example. Now, for some reason, this is only a 2-mark question, but you are being asked to use to work out the sum of all of these and find an estimate for the mean. Okay, so if you'd like to pause the video and have a go at this question, then go ahead. This is exactly what we've been doing in the lesson. So pause the video, have a go, and press play for the answer. Okay. If you've had a go, it says here that a Department of Transport survey collected data on the percentages of cars travelling at different speeds on a motorway. The table shows the results of this survey. So 4% of cars were travelling between 40 and 50, 13% of cars were travelling between 50 and 60, 36% of cars were travelling between 60 and 70, and 47% of cars were travelling between 70 and 90. Work out an estimate for the mean. Well, what we should automatically know from looking at this is that I need a midpoint, okay? Need a midpoint here. So I'm going to take these values between 40 and 50 and I'm going to put a middle value. So between 40 and 50, halfway between is 45. Between 50 and 60, it's 55. Between 60 and 70, it's 65. And then between 70 and 90, it's 80. Right the way in the middle of that is 80. Okay? And what we need to do now is, if you remember, we have to use this formula. The sum of fx divided by the sum of f. Remember, our x is... Now, I know this looks funny because we haven't got an f, but our f is always this column here. The percentage of cars, the frequency, the number of cars, okay? How many times it occurs? 4% of the time, okay? So remember, because it's not got an f column, it doesn't say frequency, you need to remember that your midpoint is always your x and the other column is always your f, okay? Then what we're going to do is we're going to multiply across because we need to do the fx part, don't we? Okay, so 45 times 4 is 180. 55 times 13 is 115. 65 times 36 is 2,340. And 80 times 47 is 3,760. Okay. Right, so we've done the fx part. We're now going to do the sum part, which means we need to add all of these together. Okay, we need the sum of that column. Okay, so we need to do 180 plus 715 plus 2,340 plus 3,760. So that should give us 6,995. If I have made any mistakes, feel free to tell me. Send me an email. You can actually send an email to, or comment. You can leave a comment in your assignment box and say there's a mistake on here, actually. So rather than sending an email. But yeah, if I've made any mistakes, please let me know. So we've got 6,995 for our total. And then for our F column, our sum of our F column is here. If we add all them together, it gives us 100. Okay, I know that because it says percentage anyway, and percentage is always out of 100. But if you want to check, you can add them all together. So we've now got the sum of our fx and we've got the sum of f. So sum of fx over sum of f. That gives us 6,995 over 100. So that means the mean is 6,995 divided by 100, which is 69.95 miles per hour. You can put that in there. Okay, so that is quite a bit of work for 2 marks, but as long as you're getting used to using that formula, then you'll be fine, okay? Okay, next question then. Again, this one seems tricky, but it's not as bad as it looks. Read it carefully and see if you can work out the answer. Okay, if you've had a go, let's go through it. Don't forget to pause the video to have a go, all right? Okay, the table shows the number of people attending speed awareness courses each year from 2014 to 2018. Okay, so you've got all your years down here and then all your total number of people there. Jed says the mean number of people attending each year for 2017 and 18 is over 3% higher than the mean number for 2014 to 2016. Is Jed right? Show how you decide. Now, it might have been tricky for you to to grasp what you're trying to find here. But what it's saying is that you've got 2017 and 18, which is this section. And then you've got 2014 to 2016, which is this section. So you've actually got to work out the mean of each one. Okay? So let's work out the mean of 2017 and 18 first. Okay? To work out the mean of 2017 and 18, you need to add 1,413,598 and 1,445,817. And if you do that, you get 2,859,415. And to find the mean, we just divide by 2 because it's 2 years. Okay? And if we divide by 2, it gives us 1,429,707.5. So that's for those 2 years. That's the average. Okay? For years 2014 to 2016, you've got to add up those 3 values. So 1,355,796 plus 1,403,555 plus 1,390,880. And if you add all of those together, you get 4,150,231. You then just need to divide by 3 to find the mean because it's over 3 years. If you divide by 3, it gives you 1,383,410.33. Okay, so we've worked out the 2 averages. Done. Okay, we've done that. It now says that the 2017-18 year was 3% higher than the years 14 to 16 in total. Is he right? Okay, to do this bit then, what we're going to do is we need to find the difference as a percentage. So remember, we do the difference over the original to find a percentage times 100. That's to find a percentage change. When we're finding a percentage change, he's saying it's 3% higher. That's a change as a percentage. So we need the difference as a percentage. And that's how we find it out. In order to do that, we need to take the original amount, the average from that year, and subtract the average from these years. Okay, so we need to take our 17-18 average and take away the 14 to 16 average. All right, 1,429,707.5. Take away 1,383,410.33. And if I do that, it gives me 46,297.17. Okay, that's my difference. So I'm going to just write up here 2017-18 equals 1,429,707.5. 2014, 15 and 16 equals 1,383,410.33. Okay, and then I'm going to put difference equals 46,297.17. Again, if you've got enough space, all of this can go into your working out box because it's better to have all of it than not enough. And then to find my percentage, I'm going to have my difference over my original times 100. So my difference is 46,297.17, which I've just worked out here. That goes over my original. My original is where it's saying which one's higher or lower. So looking at our question, it's saying that Jed says the mean number of people attending each year from 17 to 18 is 3% higher or over 3% higher than 14 to 16. That means my average from the year 17 to 18 needs to go on the bottom because that's my original. Okay, I need to work that out. So I divide that on my calculator and I times by 100. Okay, now if I do that on my calculator, I'm just going to quickly do it now because I've just got my final answer. So we're going to do 46,297.17 divided by 1,429,707.5. That gives me a decimal. We haven't times by 100 yet. That gives me a decimal. Okay, so if I times by 100 now, it actually gives me 3.2382267. So as a percentage, I could say that's 3.24, because I'm going to round that, percent to three significant figures, higher. Okay, so your answer will be yes, it's 3.24% higher, if you can fit it. Okay, you can put higher there as well, just to show it in the working out box. All right, and that was a total of 4 marks. I think that was worth it, probably. All right. Okay, we have one more question to look at then. This one isn't too bad. It just looked more difficult than it is. Rani is asked to work out the average number of orders per month last year. Okay, don't know where he works, but they get orders. The table shows the number of orders each month. Okay, so the month, just to remind you, is your X, and the number of orders is your frequency. Work out both the median and the mode for Rani and give one reason why the median is the better average for her to use. 4 marks, which is quite a lot for this question actually. Okay, so pause the video, have a go and press play for the answer. Okay, so for this one, first of all, it says to work out the median and the mode. Now then, the median, remember, is the middle data set. And when we've got a frequency table like this, we need to make sure we know how many pieces of data there are, which means we need to add all of those together. Okay, so if I sit here and I add all of these together, okay, it actually gives me a value of 1,667 pieces of data. Okay, now remember, when we find the median of something like this, what we do is we add 1 to it and then we divide it by 2 to find out which box it would be in. So if I did 1,668 divided by 2, it gives me 834. So what I need to do basically is start from 1 and add the next value on until I get to 834 or somewhere, where it's going to fall. So if I keep going, I actually end up at 45 being the 820th piece of data. Okay, 820th piece of data. Well, I need 834, so 834 is going to fall in the next one along. Okay, and that means that my median month is month 7. Okay, now, so we can put July if you like. Okay, now what we need to do next is work out the mode. The mode's quite easy because the mode is just the most common, how many orders you get that month. So which month is the highest month of orders? Well, it's 202 here, so our modal value must be 12. Modal value equals 12, so that's December. Okay. Now it says here, give one reason why the median is the better average for her to use. Now, obviously, we can say for this answer, I would write a few things for this. You get 4 marks and you've had to do probably 2 or 3 steps here, 1 step here, and then you've got your answer. Okay, so your answer would be the median value gives a middle, okay, or is the middle value for this data set, gives a middle value for this data, okay. Now, a middle value is always better than just choosing one, but then you can say, however, 45 is not an accurate representation of how many orders come in per month. Okay, because if you look at it, you get quite a lot more than 45. There's only those 2 months where 45 is actually a value. If anything, it's between 125 and 100 and 200 is a better idea. 45 is quite low because all of the other months are higher than that. Okay, so the median, yes, it gives a middle value for the data, which means it's like halfway between the year. However, 45 is not an accurate representation of how many orders come in per month. So you can use that as your answer, okay, and you'll get your mark. Just make sure you say it's because when they say why is the median a better average, it's because it's in the middle. It's in the middle. And ideally shows how many orders are made in the middle of the year. However, like I said, it actually isn't that accurate. 202 is probably a bit more accurate than 45. Okay, so we have calculated the median and mode from a set of quantities. We've estimated the mean of a group frequency distribution from discrete data, and we've used the mean, median, mode, and range to compare some sets of data. Okay, so you should make sure that you understand the difference between the mean, mode, median, and range. You also need to make sure you can find the mean of a frequency table. And I would practice the functional skills style questions because sometimes they can be a little bit, they throw you off. It's not that you can't do the work, it's that they throw you off and you're not sure what to do with the pieces of information you're given. Okay, so well done. I look forward to seeing how you do on your assignment for this topic, and I hope to see you next time.